Hello Flosstube, my name is Deb. I am the Traveling Stocking Stitcher, and I'm so glad you could join me today because today we're having a party. Party hat. Why? Because I am reached 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for all of you who have watched and liked and decided you might want to watch again, so you click that subscribe button. So I really appreciate that. It's wonderful news, so that's why I wear the party hat. I was going to throw some confetti, but this is a channel about cross stitch. Nobody likes confetti, so it's just the party hat for now. So I actually think that this is enough festivities. I'm going to take it off because the chin strap hurts. So thanks. Alright, party's over. So the 1,000 subscriber things, not sure what it does for you from a YouTube standpoint. I mean, I got a little notification that said I went over 1,000 subscribers. Woohoo! But you still have to have a certain number of watch hours. I do shorter videos, so I'm not as near to that, and I'm not interested in monetizing anyway. They throw ads in people's videos who aren't even close to 1,000 subs anyway, so it doesn't, I don't know what difference it makes whether you're monetized or not. So what's really important is you, the people who have subscribed, and that means so much more to me than anything YouTube could give me. So thank you so much for signing up and deciding to come back again, and appreciate that very much. So to commemorate this milestone, as a little thank you, I want to give a little bit back to you guys as well. So we do have a little giveaway today. We are going to do a lavender and lace Angel of Spring. See that okay? Design. And you know the rules, 18 or older, so you can give me your address legally, and don't use the word giveaway or free or what have you in your comments, but please do leave a comment. Let's use the word angel as the code word. It's Angel of Spring, and if you want to do that, I'll ship wherever, but yeah, so if you're interested, thank you so much. So one of the reasons I've reached 1,000 subscribers is due to a very big thank you I have to give, and this is to the Flosstube Stitcher. This is Carolyn. She's Carolyn Sullivan, and you know you've arrived when Carolyn Sullivan shouts you out. She used to be Carolyn Mazzeo, and she's a pioneer. She's been doing floss tubes for 8 years. I don't know of anybody who's been doing floss tube for over 8 years. She took a little break, had some life changes, and has come back recently both on Instagram and on YouTube as the Flosstube Stitcher. And she's Carolyn Sullivan. She's used her maiden name again, and she very, very kindly in her last video mentioned me, and particularly about the Celtic Lady conversion I'd done, the lavender and lace Christmas stocking I had made out of, I turned her into Santa Lucia, and she liked the way that I do conversions of different things for stockings and the travel pieces and stuff I do. So thank you so much, Carolyn. I really appreciate that. And, you know, amazing the response that people have had to that. If you're interested, if you watch the video on the Celtic Lady conversion, the conversion is in, I wrote up the details. There's 2 files in the Lavender and Lace Celtic Ladies Facebook page, Celtic Lady Conversion Facebook page, link below, that has all the instructions for the lettering and the medallions and the color choices, and I merged 2 different patterns, 2 of the different seasons together to make the dress. So thank you for the number of people who've watched that. I'm coming on close to almost 5,000 views on that video, so thank you so much for everybody who's watched that and have subscribed as a result of that. But mostly thank you to Carolyn, and she's fantastic to watch. She does everything. She does Fancy Lady, she does full coverage, she does small, she does Christmas, she does stockings, a whole variety of things. She was mentioned in the Lord Libidian, I'll put the link below because I'm not quite sure how to say that, website as one of the top floss tubers, and they have a criteria that they use. People have to nominate people to be on this list, and she's been nominated. To do that, you have to have about 75% of your content at least about cross-stitching. You've got to have a minimum of once a month postings that you have up there as well. They also referred to her as a gold mine of information and hate accomplishments. And she does tutorials, she shows reviews of different products and stands and things like that. And she certainly deserves a place in there. Before everybody of us jumped on the bandwagon during the pandemic, she was out there paving the way. So thank you so much, Carolyn, for your very kind review. I appreciate that so much. So, speaking of Lord Lebidian, they are also a good resource, by the way, of lots of information, tutorials of free designs, free fonts, how-to from beginners to advanced. There's just a treasure trove of information out on that site. Color conversion information as well, so I would check that out as well. So there's a little tip for you today. We did take a small little trip, overnight trip up to Duluth, Minnesota, which is about a 2.5-hour drive from where we live in St. Paul. And we went up to the shores of Lake Superior and the Great Lakes. And my husband and I took my mom up and stayed overnight and, watched the aerial lift bridge go up and down and the big ships go through the harbor. And we visited the Congdon Mansion, which is on the shores of Lake Superior. Once the richest woman in Minnesota lived in this. Her father was some sort of mineral or mining baron, and built this house. And she was in the mid-70s killed. She and her night nurse were killed in the house. And her daughter and son-in-law were suspect in the crime. And there's a whole crime trail beyond that. So I know that there are people that are interested in true crime, and if you're not from the area, you may not have heard about this one. But if you want to search for Glen Sheen or Elizabeth Congdon or Marjorie, the mother was Elizabeth Congdon and the daughter was Marjorie Congdon Caldwell, her maiden married name. So if that's of interest to you, I know there's a couple of books out there that you might want to check out. And a couple of days after that, there just happened to be they've made a musical, hard to believe, out of this story, and the Minnesota History Theater has put that on, and they were nearing the end of their run, and my neighbor recommended it and said it was fantastic, and they've been showing for a number of years in town, and it's very, very popular. It's called Glen Sheen the Musical, and very entertaining. I did a little stitching in the car on the trip, which I have not really done a lot of stitching. We haven't been on a lot of long road trips and stuff, so it went okay. The title of this episode is The End of Seville-ization as We Know It, because I've got some finishes of the Seville pieces I've been working on from a trip I went to in 2019 to Seville, Spain. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Oh, first up we have our first finish, because it is the end of civilization, so I'm done doing Seville stuff. But this is Portuguese orange tree tiles. You've seen this as a whip, and it is by the Vivsters, and here it is. And it's beautiful colors. She does so much with so little. There are 3 colors of orange in the oranges. There are 4 colors of blue, 3 colors in the design, and then the light blue in the field. There's 3 colors of brown in the archway, and that's it. Very simple. The one thing that I did add is the word Sevilla was not in there. The original just had a blank space in there, and I thought, well, it's a travel poster. I wanted to remind me of Seville. That's what I wanted to say, and so close up look at that. And this, like I said, it's called Portuguese orange tree tiles, but Seville has such beautiful tiles, and this blue and white, I mean, here's the example of a tile that looks almost identical to this, and it was a fruit and vegetable stand in Seville. And Seville is also known for their oranges. They're kind of a sour orange, and they're usually used for marmalade. Now, the last time I showed this, I got a comment from Amber, Rogue Mama Stitcher, about the Seville oranges. She didn't realize that Seville was known for oranges and that they were bitter, and she said this gives her context for a line in Much About Nothing, a Shakespeare play, and where Beatrice says as civil as an orange, or with the British pronunciation is probably as Seville as an orange. And so it's a pun on Seville growing bitter oranges. And so thank you for classing it up here, Amber. We got some Shakespeare involved here. So that's your fun fact for the day. You can quote some Shakespeare and say, you know what it's about. This was done on 18 count. I think it's just gorgeous. It's very beautiful. It's very, very civilian. Next up is Seville by Awesome Pattern Studio. They have a lot of these different cities available, and I've done a few of these before. You've seen me do these. I'll put up a picture of what it's designed to look like, and then I'll show you what I've done. You can kind of see the before and after. So I've made some changes. I've added some things. You notice on the original that there are some kind of nebulous silhouette shapes almost. You know, one looks like a water tower, looks like the Warner Brothers water tower that I don't remember seeing a water tower in Seville. But I wanted them to be a little more distinctive, things that I recognize, and so I've made some changes to that. So here's what we have. And I'll give you a rundown what's out here. And what I'll do is I'll also put up pictures of the real thing so you kind of have a point of reference. So down here is the Triana Bridge that crosses the Guadalquivir River, I think it is. So that's kind of what that looks like. This here is the Budahar Pavilion in the Parc de Maria Luisa, and it houses the Museum of Art and Popular Customs in Seville. And it's a beautiful park that was built for the Iberian American Exposition in 1918, 1929, or 1928 or 29, I forget which. So that's built this building here. And then over here we have the bullring of Seville. This is the Puerta del Príncipe, the Prince's Gate, which for some reason I can't get angry birds out of my mind when I see the picture of this thing. I don't know if I'm the only one, but yeah, that's the bullring. I did a little bit of change over here to this street light. It was a different color. It was supposed to be kind of a gold color, but I was going to use a lot of golds for some other stuff. So this right here is the Torre de Oro, the Tower of Gold, Golden Tower, and it's right on the river. It's a watchtower dating back from 1220. It's got 12 sides on it, and so they've got the different colors here that they've used to give the appearance of the different sides. It was originally decorated with golden tiles, apparently. That's why it's called the Golden Tower. And let's see what else is in here that was originally designed. This building right here is also in the Maria Teresa Park, the Casino de Expedition. La Giralda is this tower here. This is, I made it smaller than this, but it's supposed to be the tallest building in Seville, and was for many, many, many years. And it's the bell tower for the cathedral. Now they've put a lot of different pastel colors that I might have chosen a little different, because the building is not purple. It's not, interpretation-wise, it just confuses me a little bit when the colors are a little bit different. Now, one of the things that I think about when I do these is, because they're done on pastel, or a lot of pastels, I think they could benefit from some backstitching. Do I want to backstitch some of that? I don't know, but I think they would really pop out considerably if I did that. Sometimes no one worth stuff begins and ends is a little tricky, but yeah, I think that, especially, I did it on a white fabric, and maybe a darker fabric would be better on these. I have a bunch of them. I don't exactly know how I want to use them all. I'll do them over time, so I'm not sure I'll always have the same kind of fabric. So I wanted to stick with simple 14 count white. They end up being about 8 by 8 frame-wise things. And one of the things I was thinking about doing with framing these is I saw M.J. McCarney was doing a pattern, I forget the name of it, but you create octagon or hexagon shapes, so either a 6-sided ball or an 8-sided ball. And I thought maybe I could do these, because you have kind of a 6-sided things. These are usually shown as being done in rounds, and I don't like to finish things in hoops. They showed, hoops, because it always looks like I didn't finish. I left it in the hoop. hanging on the wall. So I think it would be an interesting concept. I don't want to use up a lot of wall space. So if I made it into a ball with the different places I visited, the cities, if I went to more than one city, that's a thought. I don't know. But that's a side trip I took. So those are the things done as written. So of course, you know me, I got to make changes to things and do some design and stuff. And I wanted to incorporate some buildings that I thought were missing that should be included. I built, I don't know, 6 buildings and a brick wall to add to this. And so instead of some of those vague objects, I put in, first of all, over here we have the Real Alcazar, which is a palace that's still used by the Spanish monarchy as a residence in Seville. And they have this lion's gate, and so I put a little bit of lion in there and little spiky things along the top. And next to it is my version of a brick wall. It didn't turn out real well, but it is, for the amount of space that I had, that's as close as I could come, is the fortifications, the walls that they have around there. And then I put on either side, I wanted to include, one of my favorite places in Seville was the Plaza de España. And if you haven't noticed already, I love tiles. I love ceramic tiles. So Seville has a lot of ceramic tiles. They call them azulejos, and they're everywhere. They're beautiful. There's a lot of blue and white and yellow, and just they have a lot of ceramic shops and ceramic factories, buildings covered with ceramics. It's just gorgeous. And I have a real soft spot for ceramics. I love ceramic tiles. I think they're just beautiful. But particularly in the Plaza de España, it's this big plaza. It's like 3.5 football fields wide, and there's a big fountain in the middle, and on either side is flanked by these 2 towers, and there's a colonnaded portico that kind of connects them in a big building in the middle. And then surrounding around the perimeter of the building, there are these niches or little alcoves, and each province of Spain has their own alcove, and it's almost like those free little libraries that they have, and people would put like books and information about their particular province that they're from, and people can take the books and stuff. But everyone has these beautiful designs of tiles, and I guess they've recently restored these in the last, I don't know, 10 or 12 years, something like that, because I guess it was pretty run down and almost a seedy place to hang out, but it's now UNESCO protected, and it's a fantastic place. I actually went there twice. We walked through the park when we first got there, and then the next day I loved it so much I just wanted to go back. Beautiful place. So here are the 2 towers on either side, and I was going to put the building in the middle there, but then I decided, well, one of the biggest cathedrals in the world is in Seville. They've got this huge cathedral. It's the largest Gothic cathedral in the world. It's the 3rd largest Christian basilica after St. Peter's in Rome and St. Paul's in London. So here's this enormous cathedral, and they've got this really cool window that I recreated, tried to recreate here in the middle. So I just, I kind of plop that down in the middle there. And then 2 more things. This is the Castello de San Jorge, or Castle St. George, and there's a tower that's right next to it too, right on the bridge. And this is built over the area where the Spanish Inquisition took place, so the remnants of where they would try people for the Spanish Inquisition. So, like I said, I've added a bunch of stuff here. Now, if you're somebody that wants to kind of get your feet wet with making changes to something, I would highly recommend one of these. They have a lot of different cities that maybe your own hometown is there, and so something that you know well, or a place that you've been to and you have pictures of you can refer to, and you want to make some changes. I always find little places and nooks and crannies that I can add different things. They don't take a lot of time to do, so you don't feel like you've got a ton invested. So it's not like I spent hundreds of hours on this and now I'm going to mess it up because I'm going to try to add some little thing in there. But it's a good way to kind of try to modify things if you want to experience. Maybe it's just color. Like I said, the pastels in here, maybe putting it on a darker fabric would help, but maybe changing out some of the colors. Because when I was first stitching this, I didn't have the buildings near each other. This was kind of standalone up here, this tower, and with the pastels against the white, it disappeared. So that's why one of the other reasons I wanted to put some other stuff right next to it so that they stood out a little bit. The other reason these are easy to modify is because they're buildings. Buildings are symmetrical, they're block-shaped, geometric. You know, it's easier than trying to make a cat or a mountain or a, whatever. So, figure out how much space you have. Here I knew I had, like these towers here. I had space for, this high and this wide. So how can I make something look like that? Again, symmetrical, it's an easy starting point. So if you want to get your feet wet, this is a good way to start to do it. I think, like I said, they've got over 600 cities, so you probably can find a city you've been to that you're familiar with. And the buildings are small, they're kind of suggestive, so you don't have to be like a literal architect to make it look like what you think it does. So, kind of play around with it, either on a piece of paper or in Stitch Fiddle is one I used to just kind of, I used it for this center design, and it's easy to switch things around without having to erase and things like that. So, yeah, that's Awesome Pattern Studio, Seville. And then I've got one more finish that I've shown this like a year ago or so, but it's civilian related, so I will show it to you again. This is a Seville travel poster. This is called Seville number P189 from Pattern Design Studio. They're a Ukraine designer, and I put these next to each other. You can kind of get a feel for it. You see the bridge down the bottom. See both of those. You can see this tower in the green over here is the same as the tower, the Oro Tower, Tower of Gold here. And then we've got the orange one on this far right is the same as this La Giralda Tower right here. And then what else do we have? Oh, I think the taupe one, the big round taupe one on this one is the same as, I think it might be the same as the casino one, kind of in the middle, the yellowish one here. And then back behind, I don't know what that is. I forget what that one is. I think it might be part of the cathedral. So I did this on 32 count white. I started on 18 count white, but there's some fractional stitches in here. I don't know if you can kind of see, but kind of where they're even half, they're over one horizontal kind of stitches in there. There's some here, yeah, they're just very tiny stitches. So I started on 18 and had to redo it. The name, I created the name design myself, and so just wanted to make it look like a poster. So that covers the stitching I've done on Seville. If you're interested in Seville, if you've been there or you like the designs, I've got a couple of suggestions for you of, this is kind of my let me Google that for you segment of the episode. But there's some Chatelaines that are Spain related, and there's the Real Alcazar Chatelaine Mandala, which is out there. This one, I mentioned the Real Alcazar. We didn't visit the Real Alcazar because it's very similar, in my understanding, to the Alhambra, which we'd gone to in Granada a couple days earlier, so chose to do one or the other in terms of time. But there is a mandala from Chatelaine that shows the Real Alcazar. There also is blue Moroccan Chatelaine, and because of the, it's not Morocco, but it's just across the Gibraltar Strait from Morocco, so there's a lot of Moroccan influence. There was the tiles and those kinds of things, very Moroccan influenced. Shirt, I wore my shirt today because it looks kind of like a Moroccan tile thing. But there's a blue Moroccan Chatelaine, which I have the design for, and just I haven't bought the kitted up yet. I just have the design. And then there is, I did an episode about Granada, but I forgot to mention, I think, the Alhambra Chatelaine. So I'll show you what that looks like as well. That's another possible candidate if you're interested in Spanish designs. And then one other, I ran across this company, and they have a lot of different countries that was kind of cute. It's called KateStitchLand, and they have countries. They're freebies, but you do have to pay some shipping. So, but kind of nominal. They had a Spain one that kind of looks like the flag, and they have Switzerland and Italy and France and Germany and Finland and the Czech Republic and a whole slew of them. But I thought they were cute little designs. Well, that is the end of Civilization as we know it. Let's talk about my whips. This one is called Dutch Village Monochrome. It's from Nara X Stitch Patterns. And I only had about 31.8% done last time on this one. And I'm at, I don't know, 58% or something like that. I forgot to look. But what I have done differently is all of the windows had gray around them. I think they had this gray here, maybe? I don't know, one of the grays was around all the window frames. And then they had all this intricate back stitching. And I talked in the last video about how the back stitching wasn't looking right, and it looked like there was too much ornamentation for Amsterdam. We went to Amsterdam just last couple of months ago. And so I decided to rip out all the window frames that I had done in gray and just make them white. And I can already see that these are done over here, and what else is done? It's hard to tell because some of these are done up here. And then I filled in some white up here that I haven't stitched around it yet. But this is looking much more like Amsterdam to me. And then it'll eliminate some of the back stitching. I won't have to do crazy back stitching on this stuff as well. As a matter of fact, I want to do light. One of the things I tried to do is, I used Sulky, which was a great suggestion that I got, instead of using the white, 2 strands of white, which I call 4B5200 DMC, and this looks better already. And I don't know that I'm going to do a ton of certainly not as much as they show. I think I'll maybe put like the window panes definitions, and there's a lot of different ways to break those window panes up as well. So that's what I've got going on here. And that's all the whips. I haven't done anything. I have another Amsterdam piece that I showed last time, but I have not done work on that at all. And so, you know, I'm mostly a monogamous stitcher, so you don't get a lot of me. I've been stitching in the morning or during the days on stuff, and then at night I'm still working on my photo books for my last trip, so again, haven't done a ton of stitching. That's what I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate you for watching and subscribing and helping with all that stuff. So thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.